My name is Jens Steffek. I'm a professor of transnational governance at Technische University of Darmstadt, which is in Germany. I'm also currently Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities. Well, I'm a barbarian, I'm a social scientist. So international legitimacy, to me, means acceptance of international governance and support of international governance by citizens of the world in different countries, obviously, but also acceptance by elites. But my conception of international legitimacy is an empirical, analytical one. So I'm interested in motives. I'm interested in narratives that are being told about international governance, international organizations, why they deserve acceptance, but also in challenges, of course, and how they are being challenged by, say, populist movements now, arguing against membership in international organizations or the European Union, this kind of thing. So I'm studying the discourse and the discursive legitimation of international governance in my work. Well, I think the main difference is that many citizens, I believe, do not know very much, essentially, about international organizations. There are studies out there investigating the empirical legitimacy, for example, of the World Trade Organization or the United Nations. But I think one of the main problems here is that many people have only very vague ideas of what these organizations are actually doing, how they work in practice. And I think when it comes to the legitimacy of the nation state, I think many citizens are a bit more informed about how the state works, how government works, how it is elected, what the programs of the different parties are, what government's actually doing. And I think very few people, if you just ask someone out here on the street, if you ask them what is the WTO actually doing at the moment, what is on the agenda, I think very few people know. And if you ask them, now in the UK, you want to trade under WTO rules, but how are these rules actually being made? And who is doing this, and how is this being done? So I think many citizens, unfortunately, don't know very much about international organizations and about this complex system of international governance in general. I think that's the main difference. Well, I think at the moment, in the face of these challenges, legitimacy is being renegotiated somehow in many places. And traditionally, I think there was what was called the permissive consensus in the 1970s. So people just accepted international governance, probably without really knowing very much about it. And by now, I think in many places, people are much more skeptical than they used to be. And I think the scale of the challenges, of the populist charge, there have always been political parties who are arguing against membership in international organizations, on the political right, but also on the radical political left. So I think challenges as such is not a new thing. What is new, I think, is the scale and the consequences now that really we have to try to unscramble the eggs somehow. I'm a bit biased, of course, because I'm a student of international organizations and very much in favor of international organization in general. So I'd say, well, of course there are faults in the international integration project so far that we can discuss. I mean, there is certainly something like a democratic deficit. It's all very far removed from the people. I mean, you can't deny this. But at the same time, I think the advantages are so great, and this very principle of multilateralism, that you really should work with the other countries, always seeking compromise, instead of this very adversarial international bargaining now, Trump style. I think that's a huge advantage, and it will secure peace and cooperation and prosperity in the end. So I think these are very important and noble goals, but at the same time, we should think about the institutional structure of, say, the European Union, and see what reforms may be necessary to bring it closer to the people and to counter this impression that this is all very aloof and far away from the everyday life of people and some sort of international imperialism. Well, yeah, I mean, the EU, and that's maybe ironic in a way, the EU has moved very much into that direction. If you look at the European Parliament and how it has gained competence, it has become more important as an actor over the years. But at the same time, confidence in European governance has been going down, at least in some countries, in some places. Although recently it is actually going up again if you look at Eurobarometer surveys. But that's a bit ironic, maybe, that when the EU really made the effort to constitutionalize and to have a constitution and become something like a supranational democracy, confidence in the possibility of such democracy has actually been going down. So that is ironic. But I think it can be done, and the European Parliament should be the central place where the major decisions are being made at the expense of the Council, is my impression.